Hello and welcome back to the podcast, That's Showbiz, with your host, Hannah Ranko. I hope you all had a great weekend. I myself had a very relaxing weekend, and I am looking forward to Monday. I have a busy week of dance and teaching ahead of me, and I'm really excited because I absolutely love what I do, and I'm really grateful I get to do it every day. This week, I am coming back with another Showbiz Basics, but this week's episode is going to be 10 tips for auditioning. Whether you're auditioning for a job or a summer intensive if you're younger, these are 10 tips you should think about before and during your auditions. So without further ado, let's dive right into this week's podcast episode. Let's just dive right into the topic of today's podcast. The first tip is less so a tip and more so a mindset or belief you want to have. And that is that auditioning is a practice. Like everything else in life, the more you do something, the better you get, and the more comfortable you get doing it. And this is true for auditioning as well. I remember when I was in college, we used to have to audition all the time. And by the end of my 4 years at college, I got so comfortable with auditions, it just felt like another dance class I had to do. So just don't get discouraged if you're still feeling stressed out about auditions. That's totally normal. And of course, no practice will take the whole stress of auditioning away, but it does get easier the more you do it. The next tip I have is do your research. The best way to be prepared is to know as much as possible what you're getting yourself into before you step into the audition room. And I have a couple specific tips on how to do your research. The first thing you should do is make sure you read the audition notice. And a lot of times audition notices will have lots of information, especially if you're auditioning virtually or sending in an audition tape. So what I like to do is I like to highlight the important information and then write a list of all the important information. So I'm taking out all the words I don't need to know and just making one list of all important things. And this just really helps me not forget anything and make sure that I understand everything. The next tip about researching I have is make sure you know who you are auditioning for. Do some research on the company, their values, the type of dancers they're looking for, and look on their Instagram, their TikTok if they have one, any type of social media where you can get a better idea about what type of company you are wanting to work for. The next thing I would recommend is find YouTube videos, blogs, articles, photos, anything on Instagram, and look for dancers who have booked the job you are auditioning for. A lot of times there'll be YouTube videos about dancers talking about their audition process, but this can be really valuable. And if you feel comfortable, you can even reach out to dancers on Instagram who you see have had the job that you're auditioning for and ask them about how the audition process was for them. I know that some dancers get really weirded out by this and get really annoyed by this, but I've had plenty of dancers DM me about Celtics and what it was like to audition, and I've never felt like it was annoying because, we have to stick together in this dance community and we have to support each other, and why would I not try to help another dancer book a job? That just seems silly to me. So, just to reiterate, make sure you are doing your research on other dancers who have booked the job you are auditioning for, and see if you can reach out to dancers that you know or dancers on Instagram, or look for dancers' YouTubes and see what they have to say about the audition process. The next thing you should make sure you know is what you need to bring and how you should be presenting yourself. So you need to know what shoes you should be bringing. You need to know how you should do your makeup. Will you need to cover tattoos? What outfits will you need to wear? All of that should be a part of your research. Tip number 3 is to be more prepared than you need to be. I always make sure to bring extra shoes, headshots, resumes, and I always bring a mini stapler to all of the auditions. Anything you can think of that you may need, I would bring it, because it's better to be over prepared than under prepared. But the trick is, I would still try to only put all of the things in a small bag or something, because you don't know how many people are going to be at that audition and if there'll be any space for your stuff. And it might seem just a little bit weird or rude to just bring tons of bags of stuff like a bag lady. So just make sure you're trying to condense everything as much as possible. And I forgot to mention, I think it is a really good idea to bring an extra outfit that's kind of different from the outfit you're wearing, just in case you go to the audition and you realize the vibe for your outfit is totally off. Just having some backup options that you can quickly change into is a really, really good thing to have prepared. Okay, my tip number 4 is look the part. And this goes along with doing your research and making sure you know what the part is before you even show up. But after that, you should make sure you look like the job you are auditioning for. So I wouldn't wear baggy clothes to an MBA audition. Actually, that is a no-go. If you look at any MBA auditions, we are wearing tights, shorts, bra tops with like sparkly stuff on it, and sneakers or jazz shoes. So you need to make sure you invest in outfits that match the job you are auditioning for. Because looking the part not only helps you get the job that you're auditioning for, but it helps you feel the part. And when you feel the part, you dance the part. And when you dance the part, you get the part. It all kind of aligns. I like to practice this tip in my own personal life, just in general. When I am refreshed, taken a shower, done my makeup, have a nice outfit on, I just perform better in my day-to-day life. If I'm in dance class and I'm feeling my outfit, I'm probably going to dance a little bit more confidently. So this is something you can implement in all aspects of your life. I think it's a great thing. Make sure you are investing in your appearance and how you want to be portrayed to the world. Moving on to tip number 5, and that is dance room etiquette. And when I am in audition rooms or giving mock auditions or giving auditions, I see these things being broken a lot. So here are some just basic dance room etiquette that you should follow, not just in an audition, but in dance class in general. The first is you should not be marking the combo on the sides while other groups are going, and this particularly pertains to auditions. When you are off stage, it can be really distracting. Sorry, not off stage, but off center where you're doing the combination for casting director, choreographer, whoever. It can be really distracting and rude to do the combination on the sides. I would say it is better for you to stand still, stand up nice and tall, hands behind your back, and watch very carefully and do the choreography in your head, but you shouldn't be marking it on the sides. In fact, I know a lot of people who would kick dancers out for doing that. So just be aware that it can be considered rude. Another thing you should do is mind your space and just have good spatial awareness with the dancers around you. I've been in classes where a girl will just have no spatial awareness and I'm just like dancing in a wall and she has like the whole space. That literally happened to me a few weeks ago. And I'm like, I'm not asking for much. I'm just asking for a space to dance. So just be mindful of where you are in space. And all the dancers in the audition room are trying to dance just like you. So I think it's important that we all make it an enjoyable experience for everyone and just be considerate of the space that we're taking up. And then make sure you're being seen by whoever's auditioning you, but don't be obnoxious about it. So don't stand way down stage and being a stage hog. And if the audition people want to look at you, they're going to look at you. If you're in their eyesight, they're going to look at you. Okay? So you don't need to be way up front. Actually, that would obstruct their view of you more. It would be harder to see your full body if you're just way up front, right in their face. So I would say don't do that. My next dance etiquette rule is do not talk while the teacher, choreographer, casting director is teaching. And also I would say don't talk at all unless they ask you a question. As a dance educator, I try to teach my students these basic respect levels that are expected in a dance class, but obviously it can be very hard when you're teaching kids. However, if you are listening and you're a younger dancer, just know that your dance teachers might be more lenient on the talking, but in an audition setting, they will not be lenient. So just be aware of that and just be quiet. The next dance etiquette rule is to do not film or take pictures, and also make sure your phone is on silent. I would actually definitely put it on airplane mode or even turn it off, just because I'm paranoid about it going off. And I think this stems from in college, one of my dance teachers, when we were at auditions, she would always tell us if any of our phones would go off, she would kick us out. And I just remember when some people's phones would go off, the walk of shame they would have to do to go turn off the phone. It was just terrifying. So I just want you all to make sure, do not let your phone go off in the middle of an audition. Just turn it off. Definitely don't get caught slouching or looking bored. No yawning, no chewing gum. All of that could just be perceived as disrespect and not wanting to be there. And I mean, why would you waste your time by showing the people you're auditioning for that you don't want to be there? So just don't do any of those things and arrive on time. But if you are on time, you're actually late, because you need time to check in, warm up, get yourself situated. So you actually should be arriving early. But you definitely should not be arriving late. If you arrive late, just don't show up at all. My last dance room etiquette tip is to just be respectful to the dancers around you. All the dancers are just trying to get the job, and there's no need to create negative energy. We should be creating positive energy so that we all can just dance our best. The sixth tip for auditions is to take the audition like it is a class and use it as an opportunity to network. I find that approaching my auditions like just a class, showcasing my best self, and using it as an opportunity to meet new dancers really helps me go in there and have less stress. So if this mindset works for you, that is great, but if it doesn't work for you, totally understand. This is just what works for me. And I think part of the reason why this approach works for me is just because at this point in my career, I'm so used to rejection that rejection after an audition hurts for a second, and then I'm like, okay, let's keep going. So it's more accessible for me to find the fun in going to an audition and thinking of it like a free class, because I know that the worst possible thing that's going to happen is I just don't get the job, and it's not the end of the world. The seventh tip for auditions is to be positive and have confidence in you and your abilities. I know it sounds super cliche, and it's one of those things that it's like, yeah, okay, obviously, but how do I go in with confidence and be positive? Well, being positive, just be positive, just have a good energy, have a friendly energy, be ready to dance, and just give off that I'm ready to work attitude. And then confidence wise, I would say if you don't have that confidence in your abilities, fake it till you make it. That is the best advice I can give on that. Tip number 8 for auditions is to be prepared for anything. The casting director, whoever is at the audition, could ask the dancers to do absolutely anything. They could ask you to sing, they could ask you to tumble, they could ask you to do the combination as a solo. And as long as you can stay safe doing what they request, you have to be ready to just go for it. Whether you feel confident or not, I would say just send it and just see what happens. We're cruising through the tips. Tip number 9 is practice picking up choreography quickly. Most likely in an audition, you're going to have to pick up any choreography quite quickly. So practice outside of the audition room picking choreography up quickly. Take a lot of classes and take a lot of classes from different teachers, so you have that practice in picking up choreography from a teacher you've never taken from before. Because when you're in the audition room, you might not know the choreographer who you're dancing for, and you might not be familiar with their movement, but you still have to catch on quite quickly. Another thing I like to do in the audition room or when I'm learning choreography is to break up the choreography by sections in my head. So I'll say, okay, from the beginning to this point in the dance, this is section 1. And then from section 1 to this point in the dance, that is section 2. And for me, just putting it into sections makes it easier to remember. And then I just make sure I remember the start of each section, and this helps me remember the overall choreography much better. Another tip I have for remembering choreography is to really focus on the weight changes. I feel like if you know the weight changes of a dance, usually the arms make sense with those weights changes. So just make sure you know where your body is moving through space, and then you can add the choreographed arms, but that's just my approach. Everyone might have a different approach to retaining choreography. Okay, we are to the final tip in today's episode of auditions, and that is keep going. Oftentimes, I remember early on in my dance career, I would get so discouraged about my audition. I'd walk away from the audition just thinking about it, thinking about all the mistakes I made, wondering what the people in the audition were thinking of me. But over time, I've realized that if I show up and I present my best self and I do the best dancing I can do and I have fun and I have a positive attitude, that is all I can have control over. And that is all I can expect of myself. And from there, I have no control over if I get chosen for the job or not. And the reality is, I could get rejected from a job for any number of reasons. And sometimes those reasons have nothing to do with my dancing or what I look like or the type of person I am. Sometimes it's just logistical. Sometimes it is about your height or what you look like. But also, I have no way of ever knowing that after I leave an audition. So, the best advice I can give for auditions is after your audition, just keep going. Just keep focusing on the next thing you want to do in your dancing. Keep looking at different things you want to audition for. I am always auditioning and submitting for things. So when I submit for things and I get a rejection, I'm already 2 steps ahead and I'm like, oh, okay, that's fine. I'm already auditioning for other things that I can look forward to. And the reality is, you're going to hear a lot more no's than you do yeses. So just be aware of that and know that that is part of being a dancer and an artist. And part of being a dancer and an artist is to just keep going. Thank you all so much for listening to this week's episode. Please reach out and follow my Instagram at showbizbabypod, biz with a Z, and also follow my personal Instagram, Hannah Ranko. You can also reach out with any questions or concerns at my email, showbizbabypod@gmail.com. Again, biz with a Z. I hope you all have a great rest of your week. And I want to leave you all with the last tip, which is just keep going. No matter what life is throwing at you, just keep on trucking through. You got this. Have a great week. Bye.